Time now to welcome in, very excited, Joy Taylor to continue our NFL discussion. Co-host of The Herd with Colin Cowherd and of The Joy Taylor Show on Fox Sports Radio. Follow her as I do at Joy Taylor Talks. Thank you for doing this. We got you on video, too. So fancy today.
Very fancy. Yes, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, we appreciate it. And, I mean, a lot of breaking news around the NFL today, starting with the reigning NFL MVP having COVID. He's not going to play in this week's game against the Chiefs. Do you think that Jordan Love has a chance in that game? It's the first time we've got to see their first-round pick that started all of the drama last year.
Yeah, I would say that he didn't have a chance, but the Chiefs have been playing so terrible lately that I think I do have to give him a chance. I mean, he's sort of, like Bigfoot. We know, we think he exists, right? But we haven't really seen any video of him. There's evidence somewhat, do you believe? I don't know. We don't really know what to make of Jordan Love. So this is actually gone from a famous to infamous game. We were really looking forward to seeing Aaron Rodgers versus Patrick Mahomes. And now, because of the situation, we have an opportunity to see what Jordan Love has against a team in the Chiefs that's really been struggling. Now, I do think this spread is kind of tricky because we don't know what Jordan Love is, but the Packers are still a very talented team. They still have a good offensive line. So if Jordan Love is competent, they have a chance in this game because of the way that the Chiefs have been struggling. So it's obviously a huge, massive story, and we don't even know if Aaron Rodgers is going to be back for the week after either. Is Russell Wilson going to be back for that game? So the story continues. But this weekend, it's going to be all eyes on Green Bay to see what Jordan Love has.
Well, and Joy, that was my follow-up. Like, what's the level of concern for the Packers next week? If, Russell Wilson's got his pin out, pin it to win it, or whatever his tweet said. So if Russell Wilson is back, let's say, and Aaron Rodgers is in a situation where you have to have the 10-day mandatory out, but if you still are symptomatic, then you can't go. Like, what is the level of concern for the Packers moving forward?
Well, we don't have a lot of information, so it is a bit concerning. Is Aaron Rodgers symptomatic? Because, we have seen athletes have COVID and come back and struggle for a few games. I mean, we saw that with Cam Newton last year, and we've seen several basketball players talk about the issues that they've had from being symptomatic with it. So who knows, if he's dealing with any of that and what the protocols are. They've changed the protocols quite a bit. So if he's still symptomatic, he has to have negative tests, and everything just applies differently to him because he is an unvaccinated player. So yeah, it's definitely a concern that he could miss 2 weeks, and they're going into a very rough stretch of their schedule. Now, they've been playing great. Obviously, they had a ton of momentum. So this is a huge blow. And as we just discussed, we don't know what Jordan Love is. So let's say they lose 2 in a row. You lose a little bit of wind in the sails that you had going with all those consecutive wins. So, yeah, it's definitely a concerning situation. I don't think anybody would consider it to not be concerning because Aaron Rodgers is that important to the Green Bay Packers.
I am extremely interested to see what the Utah State product of Jordan Love will bring to the field. Odell Beckham Jr., all this weird stuff today that he was getting ready to go to practice and he was essentially excused, told he's not really a part of the team. I don't really know fully what's going on there, but do you think that this whole situation has to do with chemistry with Baker, or what's the root of the problem today?
Yeah, I do think it has to do with the chemistry with Baker. I don't know that it's any one person's fault. I don't know that it's the organization's fault, that it's Odell's fault, that it's Baker's fault. Some things just don't work, and it really hasn't been working for a while. Odell's had some injury issues. That's played a little bit of a role in it, of course, but overall, I think this was never really a good fit. It felt a bit forced to begin with, and it might have put a little bit of too much pressure on Baker as a young quarterback to get it to Odell, who's a big star, and then, they kind of overcorrected on that. So this always felt like a situation where Cleveland just needs to pull the plug on it, get some pieces for Odell. It's all right. Everything doesn't always have to work out forever. And, who wouldn't take a risk on Odell Beckham Jr.? It didn't work out. Okay, let's move on. Now it's getting a little bit messy, which is unfortunate, but I don't think that this is a long-term situation for either party, and it's unfortunate that it's just started to become toxic.
Yeah, I was surprised that he didn't get moved yesterday, but, we're seeing the outcome of what that did. You're, of course, also on the Thursday Night Football Scouts feed on NFL Prime, so you'll be very dialed into this Jets-Colts game coming up on Thursday. Does the Mike White magic continue, or what are our expectations for the Jets against the Colts?
I don't think that it does. I think the Colts win this game easily. It's an unfortunate outcome for the Colts last week, getting set back so far behind the Titans in that division. But, look, it was an exciting game. He did what was asked of him. The Bengals obviously consider that to be a big loss and all the momentum that they had going, but they're still a young rebuilding team as well. I don't want to get too crazy on it. I need to see a couple consistent games from a backup before I really start thinking of them in that space. And even sometimes we can get a little lost in that as well. We've seen backups put together nice stretches and go to another team and show why they are, in fact, backups. And we know that the future of this team is Zach Wilson. So not taking anything away from it. It was fun. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what he does tomorrow. But I think the Colts are overall the better team, and they'll get the win.
Yeah, he had a monster game, over 400 yards, 3 touchdowns. But Zach Wilson is still going to be the guy moving forward, obviously. Let's turn our attention now to the NBA, because Tyler Hero has been one of the bigger stars this season. He's got the Heat in first place in the East currently. Do you think he's somebody that could be most improved this year?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I'm not surprised that the Heat have been able to put together the start to the season that they have. Everyone kind of rolls their eyes when we talk about Heat culture, but this is a team that no matter who you bring in, they find a way to make it work. And, last year was rough for Tyler Hero. There's no doubt about that. But, he's in a different space now personally. He, has a child and, he's a family. So, maybe things have changed for him a bit. Miami, Florida can be a bit of an adjustment for any individual. I can attest to that.
Fair.
So, there was a lot of pressure on him. So I think he's in a really good space now. I think overall the team obviously is rolling and the pieces are coming together nicely. And I think that's a testament to what this culture and organization brings to the table, which is stability and hard work. And we're seeing a lot of young teams or teams with young players mixed with a good, solid core of veterans being able to put it together in the East very quickly and early. And it's exciting, and it's great to see this coming from Tyler Hero.
Yeah, Tyler Hero, third best odds for most improved, 16-1, 22.6 boards, and 4 assists, his averages. What's your level of concern for the Nets right now? I know they're still favored to win the title, plus 225 in the East, but they're in that 8th spot in the East right now, just 4-3. What's your level of concern with them?
I'm not overly concerned with them. They still have the second best player in the league in Kevin Durant, and I say that very gently. Out of respect for LeBron James. But, Kevin Durant is that guy. And I do believe that he has the capability of putting the team on his back when it matters. And we saw that in the postseason last year. I think James Harden is still getting into shape. I mean, he's talked about it. It's very understandable when you're not be able to do the cardio, in the off season that you normally do. It takes a little time to get things going during the regular season. But when it comes to these quote unquote super teams, I'm very patient with them, figuring things out, putting together new parts, or just getting everybody up to speed again at the beginning of the season. It's a very long season, and I have learned not to panic about these teams with these big stars in it. But I do think that they need another piece, for sure. And
we're seeing that with the Lakers, too, and their slow start and the injuries and trying to get the pieces together. Thank you so much for coming on, Joy. We appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
Once again, that's Joy Taylor. Catch her show, The Joy Taylor Show, every Saturday on Fox Sports Fox. Make sure you keep it locked on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.